Howdy, ladies and gents. My name is Tom. I'm making sure everything was going. Howdy, ladies and gents. My name is Tom Gibson. I am a middle school STEM teacher, and welcome to the Middle School STEM Teachers Lounge live stream show here on YouTube. Today, I want to talk about my favorite iPad apps that I am using in the distance learning classroom. Because I just put out a video the other day, yesterday. It's linked down in the description if you have not seen it yet, on how I am using the iPad in a remote teaching environment. I talked about how I kind of set the iPad up. I kind of talked about how I use different apps in there. I didn't talk a ton about the apps, but I did talk a little bit about how, which ones I use and which problems they solve. And so I thought it would be good to do the live stream today. I've got my iPad right here, and kind of share some of the apps that I use in the classroom during a hybrid context. This is coming from someone that is not a huge iPad user. I only got the iPad after we basically decided we were going to hybrid soon, and that I knew that I wanted to do something where I didn't have to point the camera at the whiteboard if I was doing any kind of math, because I teach math and robotics, and particularly math though. And I had one of those Wacom tablets, but I didn't even like it when I was at home, and I was like, I'm really probably not going to like it when I'm at school. And so the iPad seemed like a good choice, because the iPad that I had before this one was like, I don't know, from 2011 or something, and it struggled just to turn on, much less run anything. And so it wasn't until we decided that we were going to hybrid as a school, kind of like in mid-February, that I decided that I wanted to get it. And so the iPad that I am using is the iPad 8. It is one of the cheapest iPads that you can get. That's a little bit on the newer side of things, that wasn't used. There's the 32 gig and the 128 gig. I got the 128 gig. I don't know how much I need all 128 gigs, but I knew I wanted to use this iPad for several years, and I didn't want to get to the point where I was like, okay, now I'm struggling to even download apps because I'm all out of space between 32. 64 gigs would have been awesome. But they don't have a 64 gig option. I wonder why, because everyone would have been like, I love 64 gig. And so they're like, sorry, no 64 gig option for you. You must buy the 128 or the 64 or the 32, not the 64. So why don't we jump in to the iPad and look at some of the apps that I use. So the first one is the obvious app of using Zoom. I use Zoom every day, obviously, for remote teaching, because I'm teaching concurrently at-home students and in-person students. And if you don't have a recurring meeting set up, that's probably the best way to go. I just share my room. I typically will log into Zoom. That's a DonorsChoose that we're going to chat about in just a second. I will typically log into Zoom. Let's see if any of my students join me. Hopefully not. On my computer first, and then I would start my video and all of that. And then I join on my iPad. So let me come back to my iPad, and then I click start right there. And I talked about this in the video about how to do this that I posted the other day. Don't click on add using internet audio. Just click cancel, because you don't want to use any of that. And then I can switch to gallery view, and you can see that I have not turned on my camera yet. Whoa! You can see that I've got these basically two going on. I don't have both cameras on me in class. I actually flip the camera to stay, you can see, stay focused, to show the students on the other side whenever I'm doing that, and I've got a little arm for that. So other things about this is when I project it, what I like to do, you're getting 3 different perspectives of me here. I like to go to meeting settings in the Zoom app, and I don't like to show the self view, because what ends up happening is I like to project the iPad in the classroom to the projector. What's up, Chris? You're finally on spring break. Chris Chong is on spring break. I can't believe how many people are just now going on spring break. We had our spring break like the second week of March, and so that's cool. I hope you're enjoying the spring break. That's super cool of you to hop in during your spring break, but I wouldn't have blamed you you if you're like, I don't want to think about teaching at all during spring break. And so on my Zoom app, I project the app to the students in the classroom, and it's joined in on Zoom. And I just hide the self-view so the students don't see the other camera that's facing them projected on the screen, because that ends up being a bit of a distraction. But this also serves as a good like second monitor, like off to the side. When I have it like this, I can use like, okay, well now I've got my computer over here, and then I've got Zoom right here, and then I can see like all of my Zoom students logged in right here. And if I need to do something on my computer, I don't lose Zoom from doing that. So that's Zoom. I don't really like the interface a ton with Zoom. I don't know. Should I look at this one? Should I look over here? Where should I look? I don't like the interface a ton on Zoom because I don't know. It's just kind of limited. There's not all the things that I want to do. I'm not really able to do, and so, but it does serve its purpose. So let me get out of Zoom. I'm not gonna spend too much time on Zoom because I think most people kind of know that. Whoops. The other app that I like with the iPad, dang it, this thing is falling over. I don't have my nice flexible stand. The other app that I've got on here that I was using pretty regularly and still kind of use is Explain Everything. Now, Explain Everything is a whiteboarding app. It's probably my favorite whiteboarding app. There's another one that I use, and I'll explain why I use the other one sometimes. But with Explain Everything, I don't like that they ask you every time if you want to unlock all the features. With the paid one, it's like, I know they're trying to get money. I know they're trying to make money, and I'm not faulting them for that. But to ask every time you use it, it's like, man, that's super annoying. So I have to just say, no, I'm just going to use the free one. And you're limited in the free whiteboards that you can get, understandably so. But what I like about this, so what's interesting is when I'm projecting it, it actually shows only the whiteboard. I don't know if it's going to let me change it, but let me flip this around so you can see it on the camera. On my actual iPad, you can see I've got like all of my options here on the left side for writing, and that's not projected. When I opened up the iPad, it actually asked me, do you want to treat this as a second monitor on a whiteboard? And so let me go back and then try it again, and I can maybe show you what it says. Yeah, so it says like at the top there, do you want to use that as an external monitor? If you want to switch it to mirroring, now you can see this is exactly what I see on my app right here. Now, the only time that I use this is if I'm only projecting to the students in the classroom, or it's not projecting at all and I'm using my iPad separately. It gets kind of confusing. Let me explain why it's confusing. If I go back to Zoom and I wanna project this so my students in class can see it, and I want to screen share at the same time, look what happens when I say share content, and let me click on screen, and then let me start my broadcast. It doesn't let me do this. So I wouldn't be able to actually screen share so my students at home can see it, as well as my students in class. And so really the only time I'm using this is if it's either just projected to the classroom, or if everyone's in a breakout room and there's no real reason for me to project. Let's go back over here. What you're now looking at is my laptop. My iPad is no longer projecting, okay? But if I want to screen share now from my computer and then say iPhone, iPad via AirPlay, I guess I could share sound. I can click on that. And then over on my iPad, I just have to switch over to, let me switch over here, to screen mirroring. There's a little section. Let me make sure you can see where it says screen mirroring. I would tap screen mirroring right there. And then I would look for Zoom, Tom's MacBook Pro, and I would click there. So right now, it is not actually plugged into anything. But now, when I go back to my laptop, you can see I am actually screen sharing my iPad to Zoom. And so the reason I use Explain Everything in this context more is because I actually like the whiteboard a lot better than really any of the other ones. This whiteboard is great. Whiteboard. I mean, this is what my handwriting looks like. Is great. And then I can include like a picture of a math problem. And what's really nice is on the eraser screen, like if I have a picture of a math problem as the background, if I only want to erase like my writing, it'll do that and it won't erase the picture. Or if I want to erase the writing and the picture, I would click on that option right there. You can't even see this. What am I doing here? Let me see. Here we go. I'm so like doing a noob job of this. It's hard to simulate like what's going on in the classroom, like on a live stream. But this does give you the option to do a lot of math stuff. I love that I can zoom in. It's this huge canvas and I can move stuff. That was my problem with one of the other whiteboards that I was using. It just like didn't let me do a lot of that zoom in, move around stuff. I can't remember which one it was, but it wasn't explain everything. And that's just the basics, the general of what I use it for. I try to do a lot of color coding with my math problems. And, you know, if I'm going to simplify 4/8, and then, okay, I divide both sides by 2, and then my final result is 1/2 simplified. I can do that. And from there, let me stop sharing right there. And then let me actually just project now my iPad. Here we go. Is it projecting? Are you projecting, iPad? There we go. That's explain everything. I do like that a lot as a, can you even see me? There we go. More technical difficulties today than usual. Because I was like, how am I going to do this with OBS and the iPad and the computer and the actual live stream? Explain everything is great when I'm not trying to project my iPad. It's my go-to whiteboard app for that. Miro is the other app that I use. This is a situation where if I want to project my whiteboard as well as screen share it at the same time, Miro has been the one that I have found to do. So this is my iPad. No thanks, I can handle this. Oh my goodness, get rid of this. What is this? What is this? I don't want all this stuff. This is the actual iPad that you're seeing. Now, if I jump on over back to my laptop, there is a Miro app as well. So let me click on the Miro app. What you're seeing right now is my laptop. Let me click on there. Oh my gosh, I get it. I get it. There's new stuff. So here is the Miro app, and I clicked on the exact same whiteboard on my account that I opened up on my iPad. Now, what's really cool is you're not looking at my iPad right now. You're looking at my computer, but I can start drawing on here just like normal. All right. So again, you are looking at my laptop, not my iPad. And you can see whatever I'm writing on my iPad is showing up on my laptop. And so the benefit of this is now I can screen share. I can click Miro. And I am screen sharing a shared whiteboard from my laptop while writing on the shared whiteboard on my iPad right here. It's plugged in, so it's kind of hard for you to see it right there. Here we go. Right there. As I write on it, I can zoom out and do all this other stuff. You can't see exactly what I'm doing, but as soon as I start writing, I can say 2/3 is equal to 0.6 repeating, and then zoom in there. With that, I just need to make sure that I am zoomed in into everything so it doesn't automatically, zoom in and zoom out and move stuff where I need it to. But this was like a really fun and cool workaround that I found because this is what you're seeing as a laptop. And then this is my iPad. Let's go back to the laptop. And you can see that right there. And so this has been the only way that I have found to be able to, there we go, to be able to project my whiteboard so the students in the classroom can see it, and to screen share my whiteboard so the students at home can see it and write on the actual iPad. And so this app is called Miro. It's pretty cool. I just discovered it this week, so I haven't used it a ton in the classroom yet, but it does solve that problem of not really being able to do both at the same time, unfortunately. So let me stop screen sharing there. So those are my two whiteboarding apps. Explain Everything, that's when I'm just, I prefer that as a whiteboarding app when I am just working with students either in breakout rooms and I'm not trying to project it and I can just screen share easily without projecting. And then Miro is a situation where if I need to project and work independently. If you only want one whiteboard app to work with, then I would just go with Miro so you don't have to bounce back and forth. But that's kind of the situation that I have so far. So the other options that we have for the iPad, let's make sure that you can see me here. So we talked about Zoom, we talked about Explain Everything, and we talked about Miro. Now, there is another app called Loom. I've talked a lot about Loom on my YouTube channel and on several other accounts. Let me sign in real quick. Loom is going to be great for screencasting. So if you want to do any writing on your iPad and basically record it, but you don't want to have to pay for like a paid subscription to Explain Everything or Miro or something, and you would like a link made pretty immediately, Loom is really great for that. So let's go back to Loom. You can see that these are actually videos that I made on my computer just because when I'm doing math, my students are working on virtual documents as well. And so I don't want to do math where I'm handwriting everything and the students are trying to digitize and type stuff out because I'm not printing this out for everyone. Most of them are still virtual. And so I still type out all the things that I want them to write in their notes. And so they're learning how to create equations and stuff like that. But if you were wanting to actually do some handwritten mathematics or something like that, you could go to either camera, enable camera and mic access, and you can do that and record just yourself. Or if you click on the screen down on the bottom, you can say it shows you exactly how to do it. They're going to ask you to screen broadcast. I don't think it'll let me record the screen while I am projecting at the same time. We will see. Tap the mic if you want to do that. Turn on Do Not Disturb, and then you would start your broadcast, and then it would give you a little timer, and then you would open the Loom app again to give your video title and send it. So let's say record screen, start broadcast. Okay, so I cannot do it while I am projecting. It's the same situation of not being able to screen share while I am projecting, but let's see if we can actually do this without projecting. Let me unplug it. Let's go back to the main camera, or actually let's go back to this camera so you can actually maybe see it a little bit better right there. Tom, this live stream's dumb. You can't see anything. If I click on record screen now, it is going to let me do the broadcast. It's giving me a timer. And let me go back to one of the Explain Everything app. Let me delete everything here, and then just say this is in Loom. All right, exclamation point. And now let me go back to Loom. And then let me see. If I click, there's a little button on the top where I can actually stop the recording. And then it says, do you want to stop broadcasting to Loom? Yes, I am going to stop broadcasting to Loom. And now let's plug back in. And let's see, under videos, let's refresh. It says iOS mobile upload. And then let me turn on my audio here. Let me click on that. And you can see that it's right there. I'm not sure if you can hear it. I don't know if there's any audio with that right now, but you can see that it is right there. And the cool thing is I can go back to my laptop and I can go to loom.com. And you will see the video here, and I can change the name of it, and this link is already ready to be shared with students right here. Let's see if I got any audio there. Is it giving me audio? Yeah, so it didn't record the audio, but that's okay. I think you can kind of go in there and maybe play around with it because I believe you can record audio in there. But you can see that that video is already available to be shared with your students just from recording it there. So I actually prefer that to recording it because like your iPad has a built-in screen recorder right here. If you scroll down from the top, is it still sharing? Oh, it's because of Zoom. If you pull down from the top, this little, it looks like a record button on the bottom right. That will screen share or screen record. But the only thing about that is that it is not going, it's going to basically save it onto your iPad, and then you're going to either have to upload it to Google Drive or to YouTube or something like that. And so the nice thing about Loom is when you are recording, whether it's on your laptop or on your iPad, it will create a link for you that is immediately available to share with your students. And you can even edit out parts of it if you need to. And so I think Loom it solves a lot of the workflow problems of like recording. It simplifies the process of recording and then having it available to your students. All right, the other thing that we have going on my iPad here, you'll see that it says headwaters down here, but what that actually does is it opens up my learning management system. We use one called Blackbaud, and it says the Nest, but it's called Blackbaud, and there's no app for Blackbaud, and even if there was, I'm sure it would be complete trash and totally terrible. And so if you didn't know, you can actually put links, like you can put a link to any website or any page on your home page. This productivity, where are we at? Education. On your iPad home screen. And so even though it has the headwaters icon right there, the only reason it has that is because if you look on Safari, that's going to be like the icon for headwaters. It's not showing up on the top right. But the way you actually do this, you have to be in Safari. So maybe you wanted to, so this is my learning management system. Maybe you wanted to do Google Classroom. You didn't like how Google Classroom looked on the app, and then you wanted to do, create a link to it for it to open up in Safari. Whatever it is, if you click on this share button on the top right, you can then say add to home screen, and it is going to share this link. It's going to basically bookmark this link, and then it's going to put it on your home screen, and it's going to say, well, what do you want to call this link? It's going to show up as an icon. I called it Headwaters, and it basically links to it here. Even though my main platform, my main browser is Google Chrome, the only way you can add it to your home screen is by using Safari. And so I've actually linked this. This opens up the attendance in our learning management system when I click on it. Sorry, not Zoom. And it also, it's basically just our entire learning management system. And you can see that I've also got a schedule right here. And this is linked to a Google Sheet that all I did was I went to, I'm talking to my Google Home, just was like, what do you want me to say? Cancel Google, cancel Google. Is it going to listen to me? My Google Home is listening to me. All right. This was saving the sheet that I had as my schedule, especially when we first started hybrid. And I was like, I need to be able to pull this up pretty quickly. So I clicked on that share. I scrolled down and I clicked on add to home screen. And then it's like, well, what do you want to call this? And it does the entire title of the thing, but I just said my hybrid schedule. And then now whenever I click on it, let's see, whenever I click on it, when I go here, you can see it on the bottom left. It's kind of a dumb icon. It just looks like the Google Sheet, but it says schedule right there. And so that's a nice trick. A nice little thing you can do if you ever have a website that you would like to basically bookmark on the home screen of your iPad. And the final thing that I want to share with you, it's not so much of a teaching resource, but it's something that has helped me in like lesson planning and remembering what to do in some of my classes. And it is a project manager system called Trello. And you all are about to get a sneak peek at my to-do list for the week. And so with Trello, I have it available on my iPad as well as on it's everywhere. I have it on my laptop. I've got it on my my home computer right here, and what this does is you can create columns and you create cards. That's the general idea of it. Let me show you one of what I did with my YouTube channel, where it's like each column was like what I was doing with my YouTube videos. And it's like, okay, if I'm done with the title and the thumbnail and I move it over to filming, you can even open the card, and then there's little notes in there and what your revision history and all that. And so what I do as far as my weekly schedule is I have a different column for each day of the week. And then once that day has passed, I move it to the end. So Tuesday's passed. Let me now move this to the end over here after Monday. And then I've got like my list of things that I am doing today. For Wednesday, it was I'm getting ready to do a survey video to survey the viewers of my YouTube channel and survey people on Instagram about the different types of content that they're looking for and really what are they hoping to get and as teachers. And so that was on my to-do list today. And so let's say I finished prepping the survey video. I actually move it over to my done list. I think it's important to have a done list. I think it's important to kind of look and see what you have finished throughout the day. Like even right here, this was someone said like, hey, can you email me this little thing that you have, this TikTok project? And so I put that on my took a screenshot and added it to my to-do list. You can see 3.3 review activity. I had to do that. I had period 2 notes. I think there's student names in that, but like if I did period 2, I would open it up and then I can add notes to it. And so anything that I would need for like an upcoming class period that I need to remember for that day, which is really just good for the week. I can add it to this to-do list. And then once that is over, I move it over to my done list. And so I wouldn't say this is like the most robust lesson plan stuff, but it's just more of like, if I need to put little notes and reminders about like, oh, let me put the groupings for the students in group 3 for that activity we're going to do in my Trello thing. And so that way I can just pull it up in Trello and see it and have it available to me there. And then once that's done, I can move that over. Anything that doesn't get done, like if I don't edit the video that I wanted to work on, I can move that to the next day. And you can kind of see that even like as Friday and Saturday, I leave them kind of empty because I know a lot of this stuff is not gonna get done. It might not get done. I might be a little bit too ambitious. And so I leave room for stuff to trickle down through the end of the week. And you can even see like, okay, tomorrow I got to finalize an Atom lesson that we're going to be doing on Friday. I don't have all those notes here. Like those notes are really in a Google Doc that I have for like that I'm going to be sharing with students. But this just kind of keeps me organized of what I'm going to work on. I try to actually put them in the order that I would like to work on them during the day, especially because I've got a prep period early in the morning tomorrow. And so I want to finish any grading for pre-algebra. There's a lot of stuff that was turned in science this last week that I want to get to. And then the rest of the day you can see is mostly stuff that have to do with my business, stuff with YouTube, stuff with consulting, stuff with professional development and getting ready there. So while this isn't specifically for lesson planning, this isn't specifically for education, I had Trello for a long time and I hadn't really used it because I was like, between my calendar and Evernote and Google Docs, I kind of feel like I've got everything that I need. But this, I was doing like little Post-its for like what I was going to work on that day. Trello has really helped as far as like, what am I going to work on today? Especially when you end up having like 20 minutes free of class time between classes or something, or at the end of a prep period. And you're like, what should I work on? Having like a list of things there just for today that you want to accomplish. And you're like, okay, which one can I get done in 20 minutes? That's really helpful. And then the done list as well on the left side, I think is important to kind of not just look at all the stuff you didn't get done, but it's important to reflect on the things that you did accomplish that week. And so whatever doesn't get done, or if I know something is not going to get done this week, I end up moving it to the next week section. Or I knew like one of the things, like I was going to reach out to a school about professional development that I'm leading later, early in May. And I was like, I don't really need to reach out now, but next week I need to start getting some details for that. And so I put that for next week. And then once next week comes, I kind of start populating my list of my next week, or now becomes this week, and then start putting them in the different sections. Am I going to do this on Tuesday, on Wednesday? What am I going to do? And so at the end of the day, I'm going to move Wednesday to the last column here. And so Trello is really fun. I like it. It's really helpful. I know some people really dive deep into it, but that's just the general thing that I do for organizing what I'm going to be doing from the day-to-day basis. So those are some of my iPad apps on my iPad 8, and I love my iPad now, and I use it outside of school to watch YouTube videos and things like that. And so the iPad 8, I think I can definitely recommend it. You may not need the 128 gig, the 32 gig would be good enough for me, but I'm just trying to future-proof it a little bit and not have to get another one because I ran out of space. So why don't we give some money away to some middle school teacher out there right now, though? Because every live stream, I'd like to give $50 to a middle school STEM teacher that has something up on DonorsChoose as a way to give back to the middle school STEM community. And I found Miss Ward here. Mrs. Ward She's in Santee, California. I was doing a quick search earlier today about different projects in the middle school classroom, and it looks like Mrs. Ward has an outdoor classroom. They got great Wi-Fi and everything, but they don't have a projector. And I'm like, wow, like we did something earlier before we came back fully hybrid, where we had kids on campus, but it wasn't like official classes. It was like, do something kind of fun with them that's slightly academic, and we're going to have to do it outside, and we just need to try to get kids on campus at least every once in a while. And so I went, all the teachers had to go like once a month on a Wednesday to do something. And I remember just thinking like, I'm pretty limited in what I can do without having like a projector outside, because even just wanting to show all the students something, it's like, okay, we can't gather around because we got to stay 6 feet apart. And I guess I could write stuff on this whiteboard that was put outside. So a projector, and that wasn't like full academic classes. Like, I don't know what I would have done if I actually had to teach outside, unless everyone still had their laptop. But if you're wanting to get kids off their laptop as much as you can while you're teaching, but you still want to show them stuff, a projector, I think, makes a lot of sense. And so I wanted to donate to this one, to Mrs. Ward, to get a projector. Each week I give about $50. If it's someone that only needs like $60 to meet their goal, I go ahead and give that. But let's go ahead and give to Mrs. Ward so she can get a projector out there. Place my $50 donation. And then I usually like to just recycle the message from last week's teacher, obviously changing the name. Hey there, Mrs. Ward. I'm a fellow middle school STEM teacher, and I have a live stream on my YouTube channel. Each live stream, I take a moment to donate to another middle school STEM class. I hope the projector comes in handy as a way to get kids outside, but keep the learning going. Yeah, keep the learning going, Mrs. Ward. Post my message, and that is the donation to Mrs. Ward. I appreciate anyone who came today, and let me know if you're here. Say something, say hello in the chat. I do thank anyone that's maybe taking their lunch break to join me for these live streams. I know today wasn't as fluid as it usually is. Usually I'm only working with the projector, and so hopefully you were still able to gather some good tips from what you can do with an iPad in the hybrid classroom. Yay! Look at Tom being a great community member. Thanks for the support, Ela. Woo! And that's it for today. That's it for today's middle school STEM Teachers Lounge live stream show. I think I need to make a shorter name. But thanks so much for watching, and let me know if I can be of any assistance and help you, particularly if you are in a remote or hybrid context. Have a good rest of the week, and hopefully we will talk soon.